This is a follow-up to the I investigated Minecraft's worst server owner video. If you haven't watched it already, I recommend doing so before continuing with this one. If not, I'll give a quick summary, especially if you don't want to watch the full 2-hour video. In short, for over a month and a half, I worked with a team on investigating a server owner by the name KFarther43, also known as Kellen. Previously, they were the face of a server called Minecraft Stonebox, with the idea being that the world is surrounded in stone, and players have to use their technical knowledge and skills to both acquire blocks and survive. We went in depth on how they conducted themselves as an owner, a person, threats they made to themselves and others, along with actions both confirmed and alleged to a woman they met and went to college with, in addition to various false claims and accusations they made over the course of the past few months. For both of these videos, their purpose is to inform people of identified behaviors and to be used as a single reference point for information that was previously scattered across various different sources. Both of these videos were not made in malice, rather to inform others so that they don't fall victim to what we've seen. We'll talk about Kellen's response so far, what happened after its initial release, and cover corrections to our video. We're going to keep this video much shorter compared to the first one. I do ask that you watch this all the way because we will be presenting new information here. This is not just Minecraft drama, this involves real people and their daily lives. Okay, so here's some quick context for people that aren't entirely familiar with what's been going on. You've got this guy named KFarther43, whose name is Kellen. They came up with the idea for a server called Minecraft Stonebox. They would host this world through their computer on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, although after the quote Instagram boom, he would bring new people onto his team to make the server compatible with Java. The Java server is owned by a developer named Bozard, someone that Kellen brought in to help out post-Instagram boom. Bozard would register the Stonebox LLC under his name. Lo and behold, there were these two major events called the first and second coups. In short, Kellen was kicked out of his own community by admins and developers, and frankly, the larger Stonebox community, because he kept treating everyone like crap and they had enough of it. Where we're at now in time is post-second coup. A sizable portion of the community broke off from Kellen, meaning that he's no longer in charge of that part of it. Though, there are now two identical servers and communities that look and sound the exact same, both going by the name Minecraft Stonebox. Basically, think of the Horus Heresy from Warhammer 40k, where the two opposing sides look and sound nearly identical. That's what's happening here. One version, which we'll refer to as Daltbox, is run by Ferox, Dalt, and Newt, who we'll call the Big Three. This is the server that Kellen was entirely removed from and at no point in time had actual ownership of, and he was more so the mascot for it. The other version is run by Kellen, which we'll call KFBox, who recently started a new server that he is solely in control of. For further clarification on things that I just mentioned, go watch the first video. After our video came out, Blackbear would receive a login attempt on her Google account from a device in California. We have reason to believe this was Kellen trying to log into her account in response to us revealing she made a Google Drive full of screenshots in order to delete them. Given that it was the same device used in previous login attempts and matches photos that we have of his phone. Mix this with the fact that Kellen has now deleted his personal Instagram profile, which in turn deleted all direct messages he had with other accounts. We believe his plan was to delete this Google Drive folder full of evidence that Blackbear compiled and then delete his Instagram, making retrieval of any additional evidence impossible. It's important to note that the Google account wasn't the only thing he tried to brute force since the video came out. He also attempted and successfully got into her TikTok account, though Blackbear had already removed all content she had on that platform after he previously got into it a few weeks ago. Kellen's attempt to get into her Google account is directly correlated to our reveal of its existence. This begs a bigger question. Why would he attempt to do this? We've already established from the last video that KF is a serial manipulator and liar, going as far as to doctor screenshots, like in V's case. If successful, what would him addressing Blackbear's allegations look like instead? Would he twist the story to the point where he claims that all these screenshots Blackbear collected were doctored? What other DMs with other individuals were lost because of this? We can only speculate on this. It also goes to show that various people that supposedly know him in real life have commented on the situation, showing their lack of surprise in regard to the various topics we covered. At this point in time, Kellen has still not done a proper response to the video, though has responded to a degree on Discord and other platforms that I would consider he's given one. I will say that he's supposedly working on a video, though has delayed it multiple times and is trying to steer clear of our video's existence altogether, though more recently has stated he'll be working on it due to the largest team on his server leaving for the Dotbox community due to his own failings and abusing the player base.
They're not Stone Empire, they're the Stone Temple, and they're a brand new team. And the reason why they're important is because every single other fucking team is not playing because of the hackers, and now they left because of the hackers. All the hackers to which are from them. They're Dopebox, and then they message people being like, "Oh, our server doesn't have hackers or anything." Also, KF is evil. Watch this 2 hour video about why he's evil. They're fucking doing this shit.
One thing that I would like to go over is the exodus of a team called Stone Temple. They recently became aware of the video and decided to part ways with KF Box in favor of Daltbox due to the content that was shown in our first video. This is an active team consisting of 10 plus players, and when Kellen got wind of this, he crashed out and proceeded to ban the team from his server to control the narrative. This narrative being that he immediately tried to bunker down after our first video came out, with Kellen saying he wants nothing to do with Daltbox, when for months on end, he was the one propagating drama against the server, whether that be on his Discord or social media platforms. He has made the claim that playing on Daltbox is, quote, downright dangerous, that if people were to play on Daltbox, they would be doxxed and swatted, and tried to paint the big three as people who supported these kinds of things.
I've seen the screenshots of you, sending all the shit I'm sending you in general, because I guess you're picking their side more than ours. Just know that you are now banned for supporting them because they are terrible people, and we can't, risk you coming into our Discord and messaging other members about stuff because it's a cult of inaccurate misinformation and propaganda. So even when I do make my own 2 hour response video going over all the proof of the stuff they've done, the doxing, the gore, the porn they've sent, the harassment, we have proof of all of it, and the cops are getting involved in this video too. Even when that comes out, you're no longer going to be able to play now because you supported them. I guess that's a little unfair because you don't know the truth, and these people are telling you how supposedly evil I am and stuff like that. But I shouldn't have to deal with this. So I think that's a little unfair on my end. So yeah, you're gonna need to make like when all the proof of the stuff they've done come out and you're playing on their server. If you want to come back once I make my video about them, I'm gonna need like an apology of the century. All right, man. But that hurts me. So have a good life or whatever. But yeah, be careful around them. They dox anyone who supports me.
It's important to note that before the video, he tried to establish the narrative that Ferox stole the server and initiated the second coup right when Bozard had an accident that landed him in the hospital. Kellen would use the near-death experience that Bozard is recovering from as a tool to twist and fit an agenda when he knew full well Bozard was still in active recovery from the accident. Kellen at one point would set up communication with Bozard at some point and even make a GoFundMe to pay for Bozard's hospital bills, which was later taken down at Bozard's request. It's unknown whether he did this out of the goodwill of his heart or had other intentions, as again, Bozard is the true owner of Stonebox and would essentially be the key holder to the community that broke off from him. Back to the Stone Temple, he would share various things these, quote, hackers have done, when one of these images would catch the eyes of the reader, that being an image showing a no suicide contract along with an accompanying direct message with a user named Sweetie. With a bit of digging, we found out this user in particular was known in the community as Soft Shylo or Co. These DMs were in response to Worm, a previous follower of Kellen, when he inquired about things that the Goonian has done for his Crimes of the Goonian video. Although she had shared this image with Worm around July of last year, it seems he shared it with Kellen around the time she sent it on the 9th of February. Kellen would then use this specific image to attack the entirety of the Daltbox community. Rather than calling out or going after the specific people who caused this to happen, he instead used someone's sensitive information to generalize a broader group of people rather than the few who actually did it. Shylo would try to DM Kellen to correct what he said in his server and ask for a server invite. He would instead block her as a result. She would then speak her words in the Daltbox server. After this, we reached out to Shylo and followed up with her and her experience. Recording. Alright, so we're live. So can you introduce yourself? Tell me about what teams you've been on, kind of in the history of Stonebox, and how you found out about Stonebox in general.
Um, I've gone by multiple names like South Shiloh, Blueberry, or like Co, for instance. Um, I've been in Union, Rats, Old Apex, and a couple others that I don't remember really. Um, I found out about Stonebox from K Fodder when when he first started it,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's kind of
Gotcha.
about that.
So you've been in the community for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Um, let's see. So I guess what interests you in kind of talking with us? Like did something happen? Like, kind of tell me from your perspective, like, what led to you wanting to talk about
Um,
what it is you want to talk about.
so Worm, the leader of Rats, asked me about like a whole video thing and asked if I had any like things I wanted to say or whatever because of like he was talking about like hex, blue phenol, like all that, right? So I gave him like a couple of screenshots and I explained it like a little bit what happened, talking about like a suicide contract and whatever. And then it comes to my attention like a week and a half later that apparently K Fodder's twisting what I said and blaming like the absolute different people and like kind of blaming an entire group instead of just a selective few people, which I don't I don't know, that didn't sit right with me. So I was like I talked to my boyfriend and then I was talking to Witless. And he's like, you should talk to them, do this and that, like get the story correct or whatever. So I was like, okay.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so there's a couple different things to unpack, so I'll try and get to everything that you just mentioned. So, let's see, you mentioned Worm reaching out to you. What, I guess, with the video he is or was, I'm not sure fully what is his deal now. Um, what what was he working on? Do you know kind of specifically like what that was?
Hold on. I'll read it right now.
Okay.
He said on the 9th of February, he said, "Hey, I'm making a video on the Goonian/Union thing. Is there anything you would like me to leave out in regards to you or to add? I was gonna talk about them harassing you in the doc situation, and this Gull is still around. I'm pretty sure they doxed him as well. I was like, talk about anything you please, just make sure it's not false. You know what happened, you have all the proof and everything from prior, like the situation." And I said, I also don't know about Gully. He's like, okay.
Okay. Um, so he was just kind of working on a video in regards to like what that group had done in the past.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay. Was Goalie someone that was also affected?
Uh, Goldie was affected, but he has some very serious accusations against him, so I will not speak about that myself.
Okay, that's fine. Um, okay, so let's see. So Worm reached out to you in regards to kind of that video he was working on. So I'm guessing, was it just kind of like messages or screenshots like you sent to him in regards to that?
There was a couple screenshots that I sent to him, and then also some old stuff that he has, plus like recordings of him of his own for when I was like actively playing Stonebox and like in Rats. But there's like a group of screenshots that I sent him, and then also a group of screenshots that he already had from prior to what they've said about me when I wasn't in the server.
Who is they? Union or someone else?
Um, some of the members in Union, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the suicide contract. So what, tell me the story with that, because personally I'm totally unfamiliar with like what was happening there.
Okay. So before or no, after I like came back after I got banned, like months prior from like the whole K fodder situation. Um, Me and Salad were still dating at this time. People didn't like that. I was very bad in like mental health wise, and I was in active addiction. So I was more unemotionally like mature or whatever. And I got to like to a really bad point to where I would like not necessarily like self harm over them, but for like how it was like affecting me in my relationship. Because I like really loved Salad when I was with him, and like I still do. He's like my bestest friend. But like at the time, I was kind of mentally like a child, I guess, and I would, like, take out my anger and frustration because nobody would listen to me back then, like, on myself, and then it led up to me, like, posting, I think, 3 videos of of my arm that's, like, cut or whatever, and I got banned again, which that's valid. I shouldn't have done that, it was stupid. Um, then another couple months go by, I get a text from Worm, like, directly after I get out of the mental hospital, and then he's like, "How are you? Are you good? I haven't heard from you a while," or whatever it was. I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and then I sent him the contract because he's asking where I was. I was like, "This kinda sums it up, but don't tell anybody." Then he ends up telling, like, everybody about it.
I guess kind of circling back, can you tell me like what the idea behind the contract was? Um, Especially for people that might just be listening, for example. Like what does it say in summary? Like what is a takeaway from it that you got? And we'll go from there.
I definitely feel like it was a little bit more of the forced side
Okay.
because I didn't want it because of knowing how I was back then. I was going to either relapse over and over again and then get in more trouble with like getting into therapy and like possibly like leading up to me being into another mental hospital for more than a couple of months like I was previously to the contract, which isn't something that I wanted. So I like after getting pressured into it, I agreed to sign it, and then like the day of me signing it, Worm texted me. It's like, okay, I'll just send this and then sum up that I was like in a mental hospital, getting better, yada yada. And then I joined like the Stonebox server, and whatchamacallit, I see it's like posted in general. I was like, oh, okay. So then I leave again, and then Worm texts me like, hey, are you okay? It's like, yeah, but you're weird. And then I haven't talked to him like since until like a couple weeks later.
Till like he reached out.
Um, yeah.
Okay. Um, what who who came up with the contract? Because you said it was kind of forced. So what was the story behind that? Like who kind of forced it on you?
Um, so I've been in therapy for a while, even prior to like me self-harming or whatever, just because of like family issues.
Yeah.
So they were at the hospital with me because me and my therapist are like really close, and I wanted them there to talk about stuff because like I legally couldn't leave because I was on 24-hour prevention suicide watch or whatever it was. So the day before I get to the mental hospital, he comes in my talk. I explain like what the hospital mentioned and like what the psychiatrist mentioned, whatever, or whoever it was. And they mentioned like a suicide contract, which is kind of like a 24/7 suicide watch or whatever the fuck. And I was like, I don't want to do it, but they're kind of like pushing me into it. He's like, I would say go into it, because that way, if you do actually do something, you'll get the correct help instead of being like ignored like I quote unquote always was before, because that is true.
Yeah.
Um, and it just kind of like led to me signing it after that. So,
Okay. So it was something that the hospital made you sign?
more so of like a therapist,
Okay. Gotcha.
kind of.
Gotcha. Okay. I personally wasn't aware of that because like I had seen the paper but wasn't sure like, hey, was it players that made you sign that? Was that like an actual like medical professional in a sense? So,
Yeah.
okay. Um, okay, so there's that, and then let's see, shared that then got spread around. I guess how did that make you feel once like that was something that got spread around? Because you already kind of
Um,
described it wasn't something you were like a super fan with, but I'll let you go.
yeah. I kind of felt betrayed because Worm was like kind of known for like backing me up when like they were harassing me or like saying random shit. And then it turns out that he was also involved in some of that. Um, it's like a friend of like a year or two, whatever. kind of like betraying my trust. He was like, okay, whatever, like fuck you.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Um, because I know personally I would be like, what the fuck? Like I talked to you for this long, and all of a sudden like you do this. So yeah, I'm sorry you went through that. That's not fun in any regard. Um, then more recently mentioned Worm reaching out to you in regards to like the video he was working on. Um, I guess was there something that happened after that that made you want to reach out to us?
Um, so my boyfriend told me that okay, hold on, I'll read the message to you actually.
Okay.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, you're all good.
On the 11th, so like a couple days after, Worm texted me like asking about stuff. He says, "Hey, we need to talk soon." I was like, "About what?" He's like, "Been hearing about all kinds of drama with you." I said, "Oh, great, let me hear, because I haven't been on Minecraft nor the services. So if this is about Stonebox, it's either Worm or somebody's lying again, like they always do." He said, "Hearing things about a suicide form and you're helping make a video." I said, "LMFAO question mark. I'm not helping make a video. I sent Worm screenshots of what he already had about a situation that he wanted to record." He said, "Hearing things from people, so I wanted to hear it from you just because I know you're not gonna lie to me about a situation, and you also have evidence of what you were talking about, so I know you're like a reliable source to speak to." Then I sent him all those screenshots that I sent you guys, like the whole I'm talking about like, "Do you enjoy bleeding? Something good girl," or whatever, like, whatever. I don't know what it was in those like the messages in Minecraft.
Okay.
Uh I said, "This is the only thing I mentioned, didn't say I was helping, was just simply asking to see it after." He said, "Gotcha, wasn't confronting you or anything, just was worried about you is all." I was like, "That's valid, yeah."
So I guess from kind of what I'm hearing there is that you essentially just sent that stuff to Worm and then Worm like word was getting around that you were helping like work or make that video.
Yeah.
Okay. So uh okay, so just kind of answered stuff with that and then kind of that was
Mhm.
getting around. Do you know who was saying that you were helping out with that? Not saying like, oh, like
Um,
we want all these names, all these things, just like was it something that like a lot of people were saying or was it being pushed like by one one individual? Kind of like
I'm
what did you
personally
see?
thinking that the person he was saying that was helping with the video was Worm, um, because it went from Worm asking me about, like, what happened to somehow, uh K fodder knowing about like all of this, which like the time of like the Minecraft screenshots that I sent in the group chat, he wasn't a part of the server at the time. He was banned or whatever because it was under Ferrix and
Fair.
Dalt, right?
Yeah.
So like during like all of that stuff happening, he somehow got the screenshots saying that all of Union harassed me, which I mean majority of them did, but there is a very select few that were like who I'm personally wanting to talk about or like wanting out there that they were like stupid about how they were acting or whatever. Um so he's I got like a message or whatever from again my boyfriend talking about you should really talk to like you or whatever because apparently fucking Witless talked to my boyfriend. It was like something K-Far is like twisting the narrative or whatever. I was like, okay, I'll talk to them. So then I text Witless, like I'm down to talk about like what happened or whatever. Um and like all that. So then here we are.
Okay. Um okay, gotcha. So uh let's see. So you mentioned KF was twisting stuff. What was kind of happening there? Like did Worm
Um
or you go. Then I'll follow up.
I personally don't know what he was twisting, but I do know a very select few words that he did say, because apparently Worm told K Fodder and now this is alleged. I don't know if he actually said this to K-Fodder or not, but apparently Worm said uh, that I said all of Union are horrible people, this and that, and that they all like harassed me and were the cause of me getting on the contract. Which again, as I've like stated 8 times, only a select few people were like the main cause of like me being so emotionally like unstable to the point where I did start like self-harming or whatever. And that's like maybe 4 to 5 people out of what, like 20 plus that were in Union at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, did you ever talk with or sorry, did KF ever talk to you directly about any of this stuff, or was it just something that you were hearing from other individuals?
It was just something that I was hearing from other individuals. I did try talking to K Fodder about hold on. Because I was trying to like join his Stonebox server to like correct people on what was happening because I was again told that he was like twisting shit. I was like, yo, invite me to your server. He's like, nope. He then blocks me, but before I see that he blocked me, I mentioned like something about saying no, but you're the one twisting shit about my experience, da, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's even using it against me at that point to like, I guess I don't really know like what his goal is with that, but yeah.
Okay. I'll look into that kind of once we're done here. So like he was twisting your own words against you, and then just like what that I'm confused by that even to where like they reach out to you because it sounded like Worm and KF were both working together on
Hmm.
this video. Um, so essentially, they reach out to you, get you to essentially make a statement, and then they start to essentially alter what it is you were saying towards like not everyone in Union was
Yeah.
involved, but rather a select few. Then they started saying everyone was involved, and then when you try and correct the record for that, KF doesn't let you into the community to do that, and then just
Yeah.
blocks you.
Huh.
Okay, that's that's a weird game of 4D chess right there. Um, okay, so I guess what comes to mind for you with that? Like, I guess how does that make you feel, and like what's your thought process?
I low-key feel disappointed because of obviously how long I've known K Fodder and Worm. Um, I haven't known Worm as long as like I have Witless and like other people in Union or whatever, but he was for the time that I've known him, he's more of a friend to me than the people who were in Union when I was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh, it's like a betrayal type of feeling, I guess, because I trusted him with certain things because obviously of how I was with him. And then it just turns out that he's like tactically protecting K Fodder. And I do know K Fodder is using the suicide contract now to like use it against people who he dislikes because of them correcting him on how he was acting at his grown ass age. So it's like it's being used against me and then also people who necessarily didn't really do anything wrong who were guilty, like quote unquote guilty by association.
yeah. Like he's just kind of throwing it at people and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
they're making her do this," and
Right, yeah.
oh, geez. Well, I'm sorry you're having to deal with that because like that the contract thing alone is already like that's already something very difficult in of itself. But then to have someone just be throwing that around as like a tool of like, look, like they're making her do this and that, and it's just like, I am so sorry you're having to deal with that. I think at this point in time, Kellen has recognized that he doesn't need to give an official response, hence continuing to post regularly on his Instagram and YouTube, and even making subtle jokes about our video.
I owe you guys an apology. You see, I mean, there's a video that exists in our community, one that's been extremely controversial that I haven't got around to yet. And I'm, of course, talking about the Stonebox 4 Direct, which I've been working on for about 2 weeks now.
With him bringing in newer community members that are entirely unfamiliar with what's been happening. Pushing the narrative that the video was a propaganda piece made against him by a bunch of hackers as a last-ditch effort to stop the release of his server, when in reality, the video creation started well before he even mentioned that he would be starting his own server. The timing just kind of worked out that way. We'll start out with some of the things that he's admitted fault on, which isn't a very long list. Kellen admitted fault regarding the UTOS coalition. In short, it was a team that he manufactured and forced new players to be on, regardless of their opinions about it. Players would eventually raid and destroy the team, resulting in Kellen freaking out in game, which was the pretext for the second coup taking place. He also admitted fault regarding the V situation and how he blatantly stole art, lied about it, and conducted a smear campaign to discredit and remove the artists from the community, on top of calling them a bitch. And keep in mind, he's well aware that they're a minor and has directly stated so multiple times, saying that these are both, quote, dramas that I've learned lessons from in managing this. Though if that were the case, why is he still actively using their art on YouTube, Patreon, and in Discord? And he can't claim he hasn't gotten around to removing them either, because he's actively uploading to YouTube and is on Discord daily. I will say that he is hosting an art competition, which I assume is to replace the banner art, though it doesn't excuse its continued use. For further clarification on these two things, go check out the first video. Kellen also recognized that drama and conflict kept bringing attention to the server, hence why he kept attacking the Dotbox community and asking for people to dox and harass members of their leadership. But once he received pushback and is shown a mirror of who he is, all of a sudden he claims everything is fake, wants nothing to do with them, and tries to push this newer, friendlier mindset. When in reality, people have become aware of his misconduct and left his community. One thing I will say is that he claimed multiple times that he wants nothing to do with the Dotbox community anymore and just wants to move on. And I would say that's great and hope for the best for him, if that were the case. Instead, he's re-uploading old videos of teams that no longer play on his server nor associate with it, and when they speak out about it, their comments are deleted. On top of the fact that he successfully found Dalt's private Instagram and harassed him in DMs. But don't you worry, Kellen. We'll show that for others to see here, since you like to do these things when people aren't looking. Saying he means nothing to you, gloating, and harassing someone that you thought was a child. Saying, quote, the second you turn 18, I'm suing you for defamation. Clearly attempting to intimidate someone you thought was under the age of 18, but in your server, you make all these children appear as if they're adults, making targeted harassment of these individuals appear more acceptable. Add in the fact that when the Dotbox community announced a build competition, you announced one on your server just a couple hours after, now that I think about it. So this idea that he's trying to separate away from Dotbox is a bunch of crap, and he knows it. If he were trying to separate away, he'd stop interacting and paying attention to what the other side is doing. Except, he has notifications on his phone for whenever announcements are made on Discord servers centered around the Dotbox community. Oh yeah, I forgot. Is this you here saying you were going to marry Blackbear? Oh right, you went back and edited that after the video was released. Oh, and here you mentioned $156 when trying to intimidate Dalt. Would that be the same amount that you begged Blackbear to give back to you on your now deleted Instagram? I thought that didn't happen, but here you are confirming it did. So which is it? Was she just a rebound that you got too attached to, or was everything she had to say bullshit like you claimed? I'm having a hard time believing you, Kellen, but that's just me. By the way, no one claimed that she was left in the desert for over an hour. It was the fact that she was left abandoned on the side of the road for over 5 minutes, unsure if you would make a return and going far beyond what she was aware of what was happening and was okay with, attempting to diminish what she had to say. Look, ultimately, Kellen and his close followers are going to keep manipulating things, whether it be screenshots, messages, attempting to diminish credibility, blatant harassment, you name it. It's going to continue regardless, and that's why there was a need for these videos to be created in order to hold them accountable. Claims such as this being a propaganda piece are factually incorrect because we hold others accountable in addition to ourselves when we get something wrong. I'd like to issue some corrections to some of the points we previously made. Since the release of the original video, we've been made aware of new information. First of all, Yakub claimed that Kellen's mother was shot and lived long enough to testify against his stepdad before later passing away. We dug into publicly available court records to see if anything supported Yakub's story. We found a news article that contradicted what we had been told. We've since become aware that there never was a shooting, at least one that we cannot find that's publicly available. Instead, There's a supporting court document of a civil case that indicates Kellen's mother initiated divorce proceedings on June 21st, 2017, and later passed away 9 days later. This was due to a relapse in substance abuse that resulted in a heart attack and her passing away in her sleep on June 30th, 2017. Out of respect for Kellen's family, we're not going to go any further into this. The passing of a family member is already hard enough in itself. I wanted to apologize that we got this wrong and that we included it in the video. I've since added a note in the description on the original video to add this correction for anyone that watches it in the future. We believe that this retelling of the story had become widely accepted in the community over the course of several months, and even before I joined the community as a player myself. Supposedly, there were previously available court documents that supported the original story, though we cannot independently verify this through publicly available information, as the original website where this information was stored contains various dead links now. We also followed up with people that supposedly had these documents saved, only to be told they never existed. I wanted to make sure I took accountability here and correct it for anyone else that views it in the future. Personally, I don't believe this retelling was shared in malice either, as Kellen's original telling of the story is much darker.
A kid that grew up, so she wasn't really a mother. She was always like high in her room watching TV, and when she was drunk she'd be abusive, and she was murdered by my stepdad for money because she was about to start divorce proceedings and I lost her. But I mean, she wasn't really a mom.
It goes to show that Kellen made a goodbye video where he stated that his mother was murdered by his stepfather in the hopes of gaining sympathy on the internet. I just want to take a second to pause on this. This is Kellen talking about his own mother, disparaging her and his family name. And Kellen, I know you'll watch this, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Using your dead mom to garner sympathy on the internet to get your server back. At this point in time, the first coup had taken place and Kellen lost control of his community. The video would work out in his favor because he would regain access soon after. Those own failings had led to it happening in the first place. This video was deleted by Kellen once he regained control of his community due to the video serving its purpose. Regarding the supposed gun that Kellen has, we never directly stated that he has one. We spoke with players that weren't even sure themselves if he truly had one, though after we conducted our interview with Blackbear, she would say that he never had one, citing that she had actually been in his room and that was so small she would have seen it if there were one. Do you know whether or not he had a firearm? Or if one was ever mentioned at any point in time?
I mean, somebody did tell me that he said he had a gun and that he was gonna use it or some shit like that. But when I was at his house, it did not seem like he had a gun. There's no way he had a gun in his house. He lives with his grandma, first off, and his room, there's no way there's a gun in his room.
What makes you
I
say
didn't
that?
see a gun. His room is fucking small and messy. There's no way. Bro, his bed takes up half of the room, and then the other half is like his PC setup. And
Yeah.
the rest is just clothes. There's no way. If I was in there, I would have saw it.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
no way.
At this timestamp, we left a note saying that Kellen never had a gun in the first place, though the way in which Kellen spoke about harming himself and minors in the community with the supposed gun didn't just happen once, it happened multiple times, so much so that various people believed these threats to be credible and caused serious concern and real-world fear. While we believe his threats to be empty and have no substance, we cannot be 100% sure whether or not he has one. Regardless, such threats were made to various people that Kellen knew were minors, whether it be to change the subject of a conversation, cause fear, or even sympathy, something that he acknowledges himself with a longtime member of the Stonebox community. Such behavior is entirely unacceptable, and Kellen has and will continue to tell his small community that these messages are fake, doctored, taken out of context, or old news. Responses that have been pushed by him and close followers of his since the initial release of our video. One thing I do want to address is how the community as a whole has interacted with Kellen. Since the release of the initial video, a very large portion of the community showed their support for it, with people having been aware of his in-game actions, but not of his overall conduct. Over the course of several weeks, people would reach out to Kellen and send a great deal of inappropriate messages, from saying slurs, sharing gifs I'm not even going to begin to describe, sharing images of Kellen and Worm's faces, and supposedly ordering pizzas to their homes. This is where you'll see me agree with him, and that messages and actions like these are completely inappropriate. This is one area in which the Daltbox community has failed in allowing messages like these to propagate unmoderated by head leadership, in addition to it being a direct violation of the server and community rules. As of me writing this, it has gotten more under control, though doesn't excuse it happening in the first place. It also doesn't help that right after the video came out, the head leadership got rid of nearly all admins and moderators that would normally monitor this type of behavior. As far as I'm aware, this wasn't in response to the video, but more so preparing for the release of Season 4 of Stonebox and to get new admins and mods in place, though no new admins have been brought in as of me writing this. Personally, there's nothing wrong about forming an opinion on someone and talking about it. I think there's a fine line though between criticism and disliking someone versus blatantly harassing and doxing them. I will say that this behavior is a result of Kellen's own conduct. With him previously being the mascot for Stonebox, people saw him as the leader of the community. People would take note of his actions and words, and with this being a highly impressionable community of minors, people came to believe that this type of behavior was acceptable. Don't just take my word for it, listen to Kellen talk in a call with someone who is a child.
Why the hell would you burn it? You're such a dumb person, Radic.
You're such a
Oh.
dumb fag.
Shut up, you
Whoa. Keep it PG for the kids, man.
From death threats, swatting threats, threats to contact family members and more, members of the player base came to believe that this behavior was acceptable, simply because they saw the community leader doing so. From that point on, it's become a vicious cycle. Kellen will do something such as harassing Blackbear, members of the Daltbox community would hear about this and retaliate against him, and lead to him making some statement on it and him doing something else only to repeat again and again, stuck in this perpetual cycle where each side sees the wrongdoings of the other and having the urge to retaliate. Neither side is completely innocent in this situation. Doxing has been another major issue within the history of Stonebox. I'll briefly touch on this subject because I'm aware there are a couple videos that are potentially coming out that will talk about this more in depth than I currently have the available time to look into myself. From phone numbers getting leaked, Kellen fully doxing himself, to individual player harassment. Doxing has been a reoccurring issue that has lasted for as nearly as long as Stonebox has been around for. Like we mentioned previously, it is something that has taken place on both sides of the aisle, though there have been varying degrees to which it's happened. Some players have personal Instagram accounts that would get located. This is due to the fact that they either sent a link from Instagram that allowed their profile to be found or interacted with Stonebox content to the point that the algorithm would suggest them as followers, while other individuals would have a shared username that's used across various other platforms that would get located. Players such as Blackbear would have her full name and picture shared, while individuals such as Kellen and Worm would have pictures of theirs be used in videos that would get circulated around the community. Little's been done by the Big Three to combat this behavior from taking place within the Daltbox community as a whole, and at this point, it has more so been left to continue on. Meanwhile, Kellen actively engages in targeted harassment of people he doesn't like, using his following to support him in doing so. Though this type of engagement with the community isn't just limited to Kellen's failings, the head leadership for the Daltbox community has continued to fail to enforce standards that they set out themselves. After the original video was released, various members on the Discord server would share photos of Kellen and Worm's faces, share private information, and conduct a raid on his new server. No permanent punishments were handed out, let alone as much as a warning. And it's not like the Big Three weren't on either. They were active both in-game and on Discord, and were well aware of these messages being sent. When staff members attempted to enforce the rules, their decisions were overturned by the lead developer, Ferox, who ultimately shouldn't have had a say regarding community issues. This happened multiple times and left the staff team confused along with the other two members of the Big Three. Were they looking to separate and commit to getting away from Kellen? Were they actually going to enforce their own rules? Or were they going to forgive everyone in the hopes of increasing player numbers? What was the plan? The Big Three originally were trying to portray the idea that they were going to fully separate from KFBox, though no plan was ever decided upon by them, and behavior like this went unpunished. This narrative went completely out the door when members of the Daltbox community conducted an in-game server raid on Kellen's server when it was undergoing development and when it was fully released. The Big Three allowed Kellen supporters to stay in the community even though they were well aware of his misconduct both in and out of game before the video was released. At the time of writing this, they're now removed removed, but it took several weeks of back and forth for that to occur. When the video was published, these individuals would essentially get activated or make appearances to either rage bait the community or push a narrative that Kellen had fed to them. Personally, I was included in conversations like these because at one point in time, I was the media team lead for the Dollbox community, even though I'd stepped down from the position a while ago due to other obligations taking priority. The main idea that Ferox was sticking to is that if people hadn't done anything wrong in game, he wasn't going to uphold a ban within the Discord server, regardless of the wrongdoings taking place within the server he was in charge of. Additionally, only Dalt watched the full video and was aware of what was actually happening, while the other two claimed they watched it, though consistently asked questions that were directly answered throughout the video, giving the impression they didn't find it worthy of their time and would rather have other people brief them on what was happening. At this point, there's no telling what will happen in regard to the future of Stonebox. Personally, I think that the new people that join the community are going to be confused about there being two identical communities and will seemingly get wrapped into the drama, something that has already happened with content creators that have been brought in. The concept of Stonebox is a unique challenge that I find interesting, especially when I first joined, though historically it has been poorly managed across the board and leaves us where the community is at now, with both communities seemingly retaliating against each other again and again. It'll be interesting to see how things play out in the future, but that's all I got for you. Take care.